So if you're not familiar with these Iceberg memes, the basic gist is that they are visualizations of how accessible and well-known knowledge surrounding a general interest or fan community is. The stuff everyone knows is at the top, and the stuff that is more obscure in knowledge goes further down. This video is going to explain to you the total drama iceberg, which was actually sort of made by myself. Partially. There were two icebergs that I found on the Total Drama subreddit by these users, and to be more cohesive with this video I chose to adapt both of them to a larger picture, with a few changes of my own. You can check out the links to the original Reddit post I adapted this iceberg from in the description. But I do want to make something clear to avoid unnecessary hostility. People are often split about what iceberg memes should be. Some people prefer iceberg memes that actually go in depth about serious trivia and theories about a topic, while others prefer the more silly, tongue-in-cheek icebergs that are mostly just nonsense. The two icebergs I made my own based on actually both represent these archetypes pretty well. So I just want to let you know that when designing this iceberg, I tried to keep the majority of the tiers dedicated to serious talking points that actual fans of the show will bring up. But I did let myself include some of the silly creepypasta tier shit at the bottom. So it's a little bit of a mix of both. Now, with that said, zip up your wetsuits and fill up your tank, because we're diving in. Made in Canada. The sky portion of this iceberg is going to be short, by the way. The icebergs I used barely had anything, and I couldn't think of much either. But yeah, Total Drama Island was made in Canada. I know that should be obvious, but I didn't really realize it for a while as a kid. Even though they say it here and there, I likely missed it. And whenever they mentioned the term Muskoka, Ontario, or whatever, it would just go in one ear and out the other, because I was a little kid who knew nothing about geography. I'd imagine a lot of people who watched the show when they were little but don't remember much might not be aware of the show taking place in Canada either. There are more seasons than Island. Once again, something that most people know, Total Drama Island is a huge media franchise with several other seasons, and even 2 spin-offs. You have Action, World Tour, Revenge of the Island, All-Stars, Pocketo Island, and some new stuff coming up. You also have the spin-offs, Redonkulous Race, and the next topic, Total Dramarama. Total Dramarama is a spin-off of the main show that features the usual cast of characters as little kids in daycare. It's not canon or anything, and it is certainly not the most well-received either. It features mostly characters from Total Drama Island, but interestingly enough also features Jude from 16, which is a separate show from Total Drama made by a lot of the same people. Two different winners each season. This is actually kind of an interesting fact about the whole show. There are no canonical winners for the most part. Each finale is made with 2 separate endings where one of the final 2 wins the challenge. So for example, Total Drama Island has 2 endings, one where Owen wins and one where Gwen wins. This is why there is little to no mention of a season's previous winner in any episode of Total Drama, with the exception of once or twice in Total Drama Action. It's because in certain parts of the world, Owen was aired winning the first season while Gwen was aired winning in other parts, and having to juggle different versions of all the show's episodes is really tedious. TDDDDI and Celebrity Manhunt. Total Drama Island and Celebrity Manhunt's Total Drama Action Reunion Special are 2 one-hour specials of Total Drama that served as transitions between seasons 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 respectively. Total Drama 4 Times Island had Chris round up the campers for one final challenge for the opportunity to win $1 million, but after a bunch of shenanigans it ends up in a tie which is broken in the following season. The Celebrity Manhunt Special is an episode of a fictional TV show that shows how the cast of Total Drama has been hanging since the previous seasons of the show. It ends with the cast being invited for a season on a plane around the world. These 2 episodes are personal favorites of mine, due to how unique they really are. Blaney. Speaking of Celebrity Manhunt, Blaney is one of the fictional hosts of the Celebrity Manhunt TV show, and plays a minor role in Total Drama World Tour. After taking over the Aftermath show with Jeff, she eventually ends up being a surprise 3rd new contestant in Total Drama World Tour. It was definitely interesting seeing her, as she was one of the most unique characters. Beyond just being a celebrity, she was also presumably an adult woman, unlike the rest of the cast, who are all teenagers. Though, she's pretty much never been on the show since World Tour, except for a few minor cameos. The Redonkulous Race is a spin-off. The Redonkulous Race was a spin-off show of Total Drama. You all probably know that. But it was an interesting point in Total Drama history, given its return to the 26-episode format and its completely new challenge structure. I also like how they took the opportunity to have a few characters from Total Drama in the show. It's certainly a better spin-off idea than Total Dramarama. Chris's pet Venus flytrap. Chris is revealed to have a pet Venus flytrap in Total Drama Revenge of the Island, named Larry. He apparently left it at Camp Wawanakwa at the end of season 1, and after turning the island into a nuclear dump site, Larry turned into a gigantic freaky plant monster. Despite being abandoned by Chris, there appear to be no hard feelings. Audition tapes. At the end of every episode of the show, or at least for a lot of the seasons, the show would air a bonus clip. These clips were the audition tapes of characters who were put on the show, and they would usually air after the episode a character was booted out. They're actually pretty fun to watch, and add a bit of context about the individual characters' personal lives. The winners do not have audition tapes. Gwen and Owen are the only two members of the first cast that never had their audition tapes shown. This is because, well, they made it to the finale, and because of that, there was never an episode that had the chance to show off their audition as a bonus clip. Kind of sad, because I'd love to see how the two would have auditioned. 16. 16 is a Canadian animated teen sitcom, which focuses on the after-school life of a few teenagers. The reason this show is part of the Iceberg is because, like Total Drama, the show was produced by Fresh TV and was created and worked on by a lot of the same people. Because of this, Total Drama and 16 have always been very closely intertwined, and the shows have a few references to each other. I mentioned that a character from 16 appears in Total Drama-rama, but what's also interesting is that in the 16th episode of Total Drama Action, there is just a straight-up parody done of the main theme of 16 with the cast of Action. Same song, just with the characters swapped out. Fresh TV. I just talked about this. Fresh TV is the main production company for Total Drama and is also involved with producing 16. Not much else to say. Total Drama is scripted. I mean, this should be obvious. The show's fictional, and there are writers. I don't really know why this is on here. My only guess is that this is some sort of fan-made theory that within the Total Drama universe, the show is fictional as well, and none of the drama in the show is actually real. That would explain how dream sequences and stuff are able to be shown on the show, but, like, it's also a cartoon? Cartoon Network censorship. I talked about this a lot in my Total Drama Island review, which you should totally watch. But yeah, the original Canadian release of this show was censored to hell and back for the American Cartoon Network release, even more so for the European Cartoon Network release. They cut out a lot of words like stupid, crap, and more, and apparently in the European release, they cut out all scenes of characters barfing, which is kind of crazy, because characters in this show barf a lot. I'd actually recommend you read further into this, because there's a whole list of it on the Total Drama Wiki. The show doesn't get censored nearly as much anymore, but that can likely be credited to the fact that they've really toned it down with a lot of the sex jokes and mild swear words and stuff over the years. Feral Ezekiel. This is one of the first really dark topics within the show. Ezekiel is kind of a meme character, as he has only completed in 2 seasons and was the first character to be voted out in both. But basically, in Total Drama World Tour, he refuses to leave the airplane and acts as a stowaway, living off of scraps with animals in dark parts of the airplane. He grows more and more sickly over time until he eventually becomes a green-skinned feral animal who doesn't speak like a normal person and only seems to want the $1 million. Eventually, in the last episode of World Tour, he steals the $1 million and falls into an active volcano. He survives, somehow, but this is honestly such a dark plot point in the show, and there had never really been anything like this before. I mean, he's alive, but he's also just become unrecognizable from the naive country boy he started as. All Stars is garbage. I'm not really sure why this is here. It's not really trivia or anything about the show. It's just a somewhat common opinion. Because, yeah, All Stars is not exactly the most beloved season out there for a lot of reasons. But I don't want to start an argument about that here. All Stars and Pakato Island are the same season. This is actually true. All Stars and Pakato were made under the same production code as 2 halves of one complete season. A lot of people think of All Stars as Season 5 and Pakato as Season 6, but technically this is incorrect. Camp TV and Total Drama Reloaded. Years before Total Drama Island was first released, the first mock-up for the show was called Camp TV. There's not too much we know about what the show was first like back then, but there is a surviving trailer of the show in a more primitive state, and it's certainly interesting to see what has and hasn't changed. Total Drama Reloaded was the original name for the 4th season of the show, Total Drama Revenge of the Island. There isn't any really old trailer of the show at that stage in development, and the only reason people know the name is because the voice actor for Chris said the name in an old vlog during the production of the season. We do also have a picture of the original cast for Total Drama Reloaded, and a lot of the characters look similar to how they did in the final product, while some others look very different. The characters Bee and Dawn are nowhere to be seen here, and they were likely added later in development. Ezekiel cameos. Throughout Total Drama World Tour, there was a lot of foreshadowing to Ezekiel's big role in the later episodes. You often see him hiding in different parts of the plane, and his presence isn't really known to the contestants until about halfway through. Tier lists. I don't really know what this means. I guess it might be implying that this deep into the fandom is when you start wanting to rank your favorite characters or seasons or whatever. I actually did that once on my second channel, funnily enough. The singing rule was broken. The singing rule was an interesting part of Total Drama World Tour. Basically, every episode had a musical segment where all the campers were forced to sing or be kicked off the show, which is pretty crazy. This is actually why Duncan quits at first. He didn't want to sing. But what's interesting is how little they actually stick to this rule. There are numerous episodes where the song doesn't have everyone sing, and the implication there is a bit confusing. There is debate about this, as some people argue that it's only if Chris wants you to sing or something, but that doesn't explain how in the first episode they pretty clearly say, all contestants in each show. Regardless, it's not a big deal, and it probably won't affect your enjoyment of the season. Stoked. Stoked is a Canadian TV show that is produced by Fresh TV. It was made by the same people who made Total Drama in 16. I haven't watched it, but basically it's about teenagers and surfing or something. Beta designs. This is actually a super fun topic that I can spend a lot of time talking about. A lot of Total Drama characters have beta designs that look super different from how they look in the final product. You can see here that Bridget was totally transformed, for example. What's even more interesting is that a lot of the beta designs within the show are reused in some capacity. For example, Sadie's beta design is used throughout the show as a cardboard cutout paparazza and some random girl who was dating Justin. DJ's beta design was used for a nameless character who was at a fast food drive-thru with the Total Drama Island special. Cameron's beta design was reused as a likeness for the Adversity twins in the Redonkulous race. This honestly makes a lot of sense, because I'm sure if I was animating the show and needed a character to play a bit part, it would save a lot of time to use leftover designs and stuff for that very purpose, instead of making a character up from scratch. Dawn's powers. This one's pretty easy. Dawn is kind of like a nature hippie girl with psychic aura powers, pretty much. There are several points in time in the show where she can talk to animals or read people's auras to find stuff out about them. Unlike other characters in this show who claim to have supernatural powers, it seems that within the Total Drama universe, Dawn actually has the abilities she claims to have. Total Drama Ricky. Total Drama Ricky is a YouTuber who makes videos about, you guessed it, Total Drama. I don't personally watch him, but I'm sure a lot of big Total Drama fans have seen at least one or two of his videos. Adam Hadel. Adam Hadel is also a YouTuber who has made videos on Total Drama in the past, but doesn't focus on it primarily. Not much to say here. Alejandro's voice actor changed. Alejandro's original voice actor, Marco Grazzini, only voiced Alejandro in Season 3. In Total Drama All-Stars, Alejandro's voice was done by Alex House. I remember noticing this as a kid, and really being bothered by it, and although I'm sure Alex tried his best, it was always a little bit off. But hey, what else can you do? Scott died. Now, Scott didn't actually die, but what happened to him near the end of Total Drama Revenge of the Island was super dark. Scott had had a rivalry with the mutant shark Fang throughout the season, and Fang joins him in the Hurl of Shame, and an already injured Scott gets mauled. At the season finale, Scott rejoins, forced to sit in some chair for individuals suffering paralysis, where he can only communicate by making beeping noises. Which, man, that is really dark. Thankfully, at the start of All Stars, he seems to be normal again, but I remember seeing it as a kid and being genuinely disturbed, partially because of how small the machine was. I thought they somehow cut off Scott's head and reattached it to the machine or something. Scott didn't die, but he certainly was close, and if the show was realistic, I don't think he would have survived, let alone make that recovery. Prototype designs as interns. I said earlier that beta designs for Total Drama characters are reused a lot, and prior to Season 4, interns for the show were often designed based on beta designs for contestants. The best example is Tyler, whose beta design has been used as an intern for the show on multiple occasions. It's unclear if it's supposed to be canonically the same character each time, or just some extra that they use the same model for. But yeah, it's certainly a fun detail. Browser games. I don't really know what to say here, other than, like a lot of shows that aired on Cartoon Network, there are little mini-games related to the show that you can play on the Cartoon Network website, or at least there used to be. Total Drama Island, Totally Interactive is a good example. They made a short minigame for every episode of the show, which is kind of crazy. There have been other minigames over the years, but none that went to the length that Totally Interactive did. Heather's head shape changes. This one isn't really a big deal, but it's still kind of interesting. Heather had her head shaved for a challenge at the end of Total Drama Island, and in the finale you can see her bald head. It's flat at the top, but from the Total Drama Island special and beyond, her bald head is a circular shape. This was obviously just a change they made for aesthetic purposes. They likely thought she looked a lot better with a normal shaped head, but I always kind of find it funny because it reminds me of how weird a lot of cartoon characters tend to look when bald. Zoe was originally Molly. Okay, this one is confusing, but just try and pay attention. So, going back to the original character designs for Total Drama Revenge of the Island, you can find some very interesting stuff. Notably 3 characters, Zoe, Molly, and Dakota. You might originally think that this is the original character design for Zoe, a character who appeared in the final product. But this is not true. You might also be confused because Dakota's old design looks very similar to Zoe. That is true. So basically, here's what happened. The original Zoe character that you see in this old design did not make it to the final product. Her personality and everything was dropped, and the slot she took up in the show's cast was likely replaced with Dawn. The original Molly character was supposed to have the modern day Zoe's character arc and everything. This Molly character eventually had her name changed to Zoe, likely after the original Zoe character was scrapped. The staff also redesigned Molly and implemented part of Dakota's original design when making her. Dakota was reimagined as the wannabe rich girl that we know today. Yeah, I hope you understood that. Justin never talks. In season 1 of Total Drama, Justin has like 4 lines. He is introduced, says hi to Chris, banters with Owen, and never talks again. He makes it all the way to the 5th episode before being voted off, and even when he's voted off, he doesn't say anything. Interestingly enough, he then plays a huge role in the Total Drama Island special, and goes on to place pretty high in Total Drama Action, where he also is given a lot of screen and voice time. But in season 1, he says almost nothing. Izzy's mental state. Now, I'm no psychiatrist, and I don't want to play psychiatrist, especially for a cartoon character who's just supposed to be silly and all over the place. Izzy is obviously supposed to be kind of crazy, but I don't think the staff had any particular mental illness in mind when writing her, nor do I think they wanted her to be a serious depiction of mental illness or anything. But there is a video by the theorizer which speculates that she is in fact not insane or anything, and is actually a genius psychopath who pretends to be kind of a nutcase to get by. I don't really agree with it though. Mal is the original personality. Speaking of mental illness, I guess, you have the theory that Mal is the original personality. I don't think there's really that much basis behind this theory, besides Mal saying it at one point. I'm pretty sure that was just him trying to scare Mike. Also, Mike and his personalities did that whole mind reset thing, right? And Mike was left? Yeah. Fan seasons. Total Drama is a show with a format that lends itself easily to fan content. As a kid, I always would watch the show and kind of picture myself being a contestant, and I don't think I'm the only one who did that. Because of this, fan-made seasons are often created by and for people who enjoy the show. Now, when I say fan season, I don't mean that people animate a full 26-episode season of the show, but it's not uncommon among fans to write fanfiction or something with that topic. Original characters are also a staple here. There is one fan-made season that actually was going to be animated and everything, and that season was Total Drama Reunion. Total Drama Reunion took place 15 years in the future, where all the characters are now in their 30s coming back together for one more season. Unfortunately, after a very successful first episode, the show was sadly given a cease and desist by Fresh TV, and had to stop production. And that is really unfortunate. I'm not going to go into detail about copyright law or anything, so that's all I will say. Art style inspired by Clone High. When I was first doing research on this, I expected this to be something with no real evidence. But no. Todd Kaufman himself confirmed that yes, Total Drama Island's art style was inspired by that of Clone High. Which, wow, thanks for saving me the speculation, Todd. Chris is a pedophile. I don't know how serious of a theory this is, but it's no question that Chris McLean is kind of a creep. Even besides the whole sadistic torture of teenagers thing, there were multiple times in the first episode of the show where he commented on how attractive Lindsay is. Which, yeah, pretty creepy. Beth paid Brady. I don't know if I actually believe this theory, but I certainly think it would be funny as heck if it was true. One of the running jokes in Total Drama Action is that between the first 2 seasons, Beth claims to have gotten this really good-looking boyfriend who is a model and stuff named Brady. No one believes her, but she's insistent on it being true. But right at the finale of the season, after the winner is declared, Brady shows up looking for Beth, and they hug and everyone is surprised that he's real and is actually dating Beth. The theory is that, basically, Beth and Brady aren't in any significant relationship, and she paid him to pretend to be her boyfriend to impress all the people around her. It's certainly a funny theory, and it also explains how Beth sometimes would claim weird things about him that were easy for the others to poke holes in, but there's no real significant evidence in the show of this being the case. Ezekiel is racist. I don't really know where this theory comes from. I mean, it was pretty clear at the start of the show that Ezekiel has some backward views, likely influenced by his being raised and homeschooled in a rural area, but those were just him saying stuff that was mean to women. There's never been anything said by him that's been overtly racist or anything. He's never been hostile in any way to someone of a different ethnic background based on that alone. Quite the opposite, actually. I don't see any reason to really entertain this theory in any significant way. I like to think the best of people. Lindsay was supposed to be a finalist in Total Drama Action. Unfortunately, this isn't true. This was a theory that was going around for a while, but it turns out that there was never any significant plan in development for Lindsay to make it to the finale. I suppose this theory came out of the fact that Lindsay had a lot of screen time throughout the season, especially compared to Beth. So people thought there might have been plans for her to make it to the final two. I still hope one day Lindsay can win a season. She was booted too early in All-Stars. Why Duncan went to juvie. If you don't know, Duncan is a former inmate of a juvenile detention center, for some reason. It's said in his message from home that he's been in trouble for all sorts of illegal antics, but it's not confirmed what he specifically went to juvie for. He states on several occasions that he won't tell when asked why he went, so it's clearly a secret. There's a scene near the end of the first season where he, Gwen, Heather, and Owen all share their deepest, darkest secrets, and he tells them why he went to juvie, but it's off screen, and we can only really speculate. B's voice. One of the main gimmicks of B as a character is that he never talks. At all. He's completely silent, not a single written line, or so you might think. Because although B never says anything, there is one point where he makes an actual noise with his voice, and that is when he takes the hurl of shame. When he is launched, he screams, much like any normal person would when being launched from a catapult. And he, makes a noise despite not having any credited voice actor. And I don't know if it's publicly known who is doing the scream. I doubt that they hired someone for that scream alone, though, and if I had to guess, they probably just use a stock screaming sound effect. But who knows? Original All-Stars lineup. I've heard mixed sources on this, and I think some of this might be hearsay, but it's rumored that the Total Drama All-Stars cast was planned to be a bit different than it ended up being. Apparently, the cast was supposed to also include Owen, Brick, Anne Maria, and Cody, but had to be cut down to fit the 13-episode count. It's a big shame. Owen being cut out of the season that's supposed to be for the best of the best, and being replaced by Sam, who never even reached the merge, is insulting. They really need to return to the 26-episode format. Courtney's voice actress changed. I actually didn't know this until just a few days ago, but Courtney has had two voice actors, Rochelle Wilson and Emily Claire Barlow. The reason you probably never noticed this is because she was only voiced by Rochelle Wilson for the first 2 episodes of the whole show, and ended up being recast. Funnily enough, after 7 years, Rochelle Wilson returned to Total Drama to voice Sugar, which I found kind of interesting. Duncan and Heather were supposed to be a couple. This is a theory I really doubt. The only real evidence for this is that there are a couple lines in the first episode where Duncan overtly flirts with Heather, and that's it. Pretty much after that, there's a pretty clear lack of interest between both parties for the rest of the show. If this was ever planned, it must have been really early on, because not only are the two characters on different teams, Duncan and Courtney are two major characters in the first season who get a lot of screen time together, and having to rewrite all of that seems like an insane amount of work. Dead interns. This isn't really a theory, it's pretty much true. There are several times throughout the show where Chris mentions that all the interns are in the hospital or dead. In the last episode of the first season, Chris straight up tells a new intern who was just hired for the show that he was hired because all the other interns died. He tests a challenge in which he falls into shark-infested water, and you can hear chomping sound effects. There's another point in Total Drama World Tour where Chef releases a bunch of scarabs on the campers, and you can see some scarabs climb up the body of an intern. It cuts away from him, and when it cuts back, he's replaced by a skeleton. So, yeah, dead. Unauthorized Persian dub. I wasn't so sure about this part of the Iceberg, so I actually messaged the original creator of one of the Icebergs to tell me what they were referring to. Apparently, Gem TV, a Turkish broadcasting company that does work in several parts of the Middle East, made an unauthorized dub of Total Drama Island in Farsi to be aired in Iran. But they had to broadcast it illegally because the clothing of the characters was quote-unquote too American. Which, I mean, based on the way some of the characters are dressed, I'm not surprised. You can find a link to the first episode in the description. Total Drama All-Stars rewrites. Total Drama All-Stars, as said earlier, is a controversial season. Because of this, there are a lot of fan-made versions of the show written on websites like Wattpad or DeviantArt. The most famous version I could find was a completely rewritten script for the show with an increased cast and episode count written by users Jasper Pie and BloomTatsa93. They even wrote up a whole version of the theme song, which gets bonus props from me. You can find the link to the rewrite in the description. Cartoon Network ruined Gwent and Dunkney. Okay, wow. I thought this was speculation at first, but it turns out this isn't as much of an innocent theory as I thought it was. This is some sad stuff. So, remember how in Total Drama Action, the character of Trent was totally derailed into some obsessive weirdo with no charisma at all, and he ended up freaking Gwen out enough for them to break up? Yeah, that wasn't the original intention of Fresh TV. Apparently, executives at Cartoon Network were behind the breakup, and they were also behind Gwen and Duncan getting together. And now that I know this, holy hell, all of that bad writing and lack of relationship screen time makes a lot of sense. I mean, Tom McGillis himself says that he likes Duncan and Courtney best. And this is just me speculating, but it makes me wonder a bit less why the relationships involving these characters always went downhill. Their personal development was not always aligned with the vision of the writers themselves. Certainly interesting, if not pretty sad. I certainly wish that Gwen and Dunkney stayed together. Lightning sexuality. Alright, I'm stumped on this one. I don't really know if it's trying to refer to anything specifically. I'm sure Lightning, like all male characters, is headcanon as gay by someone, but I don't know if there's anything about Lightning specifically that makes him hinted as gay within the show. All I can really think of is his on and off friendship with Joe, and how he constantly mistakes Joe for a guy, but I don't really think he ever showed attraction for Joe or anything. There's also that one scene where Joe thinks she's gonna die and exclaims, "I'm never gonna kiss a guy!" And Lightning, thinking Joe is a guy, quite progressively tells her that he's fine with that and doesn't judge. But yeah, I don't think there's any real direct evidence of Lightning's sexuality either way. Sadie and Owen are related. This isn't really a serious theory. Owen is one of the few characters whose parents have actually been shown on the show. A few times, in fact. And his mom bears a striking resemblance to Sadie. Like, a very similar head shape and eyes, and that's always been interesting. I don't actually think it's supposed to mean anything, and I'm sure they just partially used Sadie as a reference when designing his mom, just because they're both supposed to be plus-size women and there aren't many other women of that body type in the show. But maybe the show is trying to drop hints, because Owen's mom and Sadie share the same voice actor, Lauren Lipson. Lindsay's roast exists uncensored. This probably isn't true. At least, I don't think there's any audio of Lindsay actually saying swear words at Heather. The bleep goes on for a long time, and I don't know what a sentence that needs to be cut out to that extent would sound like. There is sort of a quote-unquote uncensored version of the roast, and this is because the implication that Lindsay was saying something so vulgar to Heather that it had to be censored for several seconds was a bit too suggestive for Cartoon Network, so they redubbed the scene with Lindsay just saying a bunch of mean but still completely safe to say on TV stuff. It's a pretty weird dub and really clunky. We don't actually know what Lindsay was supposed to say, but it's worth noting that right when she starts talking, her mouth movements bear a striking resemblance to the mouth movements you'd make if you called someone a fucking bitch. Pakuto characters are recycled from Mike's personalities. No, I don't think so. The only similarity between any of Mike's personalities and any Pakuto characters is the similarity between Jasmine and Manitoba Smith, given that they're both supposed to be Australian. That's all I can really think of. The only other vague similarity is Mal and Max, but they're evil in very different ways. Either this is a joke theory or just kind of a bad one. Heather's plot armor. Heather gets away with a lot of shenanigans in Total Drama Island. Like, she makes it so far into the game despite her entire team hating her, even after losing her alliance. There are several times where she is a very reasonable person to be voted out by her competitors and teammates, and she always makes it. Justin's elimination was totally forced, and they never explained very well how she got Owen and Izzy to vote for him, and it would have probably been a hard scene to write. There's also the time she ruined Gwen and Trent's relationship by kissing Trent, and subsequently pissed literally everyone else off. And after all that, she just coincidentally won immunity, and she seemed to half expect it. Like, Heather, you realize that if you didn't win immunity, you would have totally been voted out? There's actually a theory that Heather had an under-the-table deal in-universe with the producers to be given good odds in the competition in exchange for stirring drama amongst the campers. It would explain quite a bit, especially that whole random immunity fiasco, but one hole I'd put into the theory is how she was expected to catch a bear in the animal trapping competition. Who knows, though? It's certainly fun to think about. Eva fandom. As far as I can tell, this is just a joke entry. Eva is not exactly a very popular character, and I doubt there are many people out there who have her as their favorite. I certainly don't dislike her or anything, but she hasn't done much in this show for her to really stand out in any significant way, and I think this is just on the Iceberg as a joke. Every copy of Total Drama is personalized. Yeah, this final section is gonna be a bit tongue-in-cheek. The every copy is personalized gag was popularized by the whole Super Mario 64 conspiracy theory meme, and the idea is that every copy of Super Mario 64 has differences from every other copy. The same theory is being applied to Total Drama. It's a cute gag, but it's not really meant to be taken seriously. I suppose there's a kernel of truth in it though, just because the show was so heavily changed and censored depending on the region it aired in, and there are a lot of minor differences that make two people's experiences with the show different. Some people had Owen win, some people had Gwen win, etc. The Alla Tyler video is canon. I can't believe I did research for this. So, the Alla Tyler video, named after the ship name for Alejandro and Tyler, seems to be a running joke on the Total Drama subreddit and stuff. But I couldn't really find many direct references to what it was. All I knew is that there was some weird video that was a big inside joke among Total Drama fans. I was honestly really curious what it could be, and I was pretty determined to find out. And I did, and I feel pretty dumb that I couldn't tell what it was going to be from the start. It's animated gay pornography. That's all it is. It also replicates the art and animation style and uses lines from the show to make it almost resemble an actual scene, which is why I think this humorous conspiracy theory exists. But it's not real. Obviously. I suppose the novelty of the semi-official looking not safe for work animation floating around as a shock video is still funny in some circles. Which challenges can a human survive in real life? It's a pretty simple question. What challenges in Total Drama Island would actually be something you can reasonably survive? And I'm not going to answer for each one. Realistically, no one would have made it past the second episode, because a 1,000-foot dive into water will kill you. Total Drama Island is probably the least deadly season though, as a lot of the challenges are pretty safe. Dodgeball can be painful, but you're not going to die doing that. I'd wager that Total Drama Revenge of the Island is probably the deadliest season, just because of all the nuclear waste stuff. The campers are metahumans. Another joke theory. I don't even know what to say for this one. Most of the campers don't really display any real supernatural powers, except for Dawn, whom I mentioned earlier. So, yeah. Ella is real. Gee, I sure hope not. Ella in real life sounds like a handful. Thank God it's probably not true. Camp Wawanakwa is real. I actually ended up doing some research for this. Camp Wawanakwa is obviously a fictional location, but I wanted to find out if there was a clear lake or anything that the show is supposed to be based off of. The show says that Camp Wawanakwa is somewhere in Muskoka, Ontario, so I actually looked around on Google Maps and searched for a Lake Wawanakwa there, but it doesn't exist. So, yeah, it probably should be obvious, but Camp Wawanakwa is fictional, and the lake it exists in is fictional as well. That's everything. Wow, thanks for watching all of this. It certainly ended up taking a lot more time than I expected, but like Prince, I'm not much for cutting material. If you liked what you saw from me here, I'd highly recommend you check out my video, The Comprehensive Roast of Total Drama Island. Given that you stomached this, you clearly derive some enjoyment from long-form analysis for 15-year-old kids cartoons, and that's exactly what I do on that video, except in that one I focus a lot more on being comedic than I did in this one. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I love you all.